Hello, walkers, and welcome to Hardin, Montana. Hardin. It's a kind of a small little farming town. Excuse me. Gotta put a glove on because it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative 18 degrees Celsius. Somebody's put some bird feed out here, which I think is awesome. The birds are quite cold as well. They live out here. It is a frosty day, as you can see from these trees. And I'm trying to slip my gloves on while I walk. So, pardon me. We are, as I said, on Center Street here in Hardin, Montana. Hardin is the... I'm going to let you see some of these frosty branches here. Hardin is the county seat of Bighorn County, and I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance here, in the sense that please give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done that. Check us out on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as YouTube. And we post pictures and stuff there from time to time, including walks from other channels that we find and enjoy. But back to Hardin. It is Bighorn County is sort of between Billings and the Little Bighorn battlefield. It's near Bighorn Canyon. In fact, there's a sign across the street for Yellowtail Dam, which is at the end of Bighorn Canyon. And it's a great little town here. It's about 3,700 people, and they are primarily a farming community, I would say, although they do have a Bitcoin mining operation here, I read on Wikipedia, which I will share with you. My headphone just popped out. And as well as a prison that they got convinced to build by an organization out of Texas. I think it's a private prison. Raised a bond, and then the state of Montana never approved the prison, and the town of Hardin got stuck with the bill. And so they're on the hook for something like $40 million. They also have a sugar beet processing facility. We're crossing 3rd Street here. This is the Ranch House Grill restaurant. I've never eaten there, but it looks like it could be fun. Several little restaurants here in town, which is about, a couple miles from the interstate. There's a lot of hotels and fast food type places down there at the interstate, like you would expect. But if you come into town, you get this great little downtown area with these old buildings. Pardon me. And of course the train comes through here. There is a couple museums here, as well as further southeast of town along the interstate. One of the things they do here every year is host Bighorn Days in, I think it's early June, to commemorate, and I believe reenact, the Battle of Little Bighorn. And as I said, we're not far from the battlefield itself, which is a national park. I believe it's a national park or a national historic site. And well worth a visit there. It's a very educational place. They have a visitor center. They have a couple of drives, walks, and they have a good explanation of not just the settler and Army perspective, but also that of the native peoples. I think it's interesting anyway. Not being a native person, I couldn't tell you how accurate it is from their perspective. This neat old Hotel Becker building. I came down here to film on a job 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and just kind of poked around downtown. I love this low-hanging fog. You can see those grain elevators in the background, silos. We're just going to kind of explore and look around a little bit. But the fog has frozen to these trees and other places, and as hoarfrost, or rime and created these great little crystals, and the sun is sort of peeking through. As I was coming into town, I was I was up a little bit higher, and you could see this sort of just layer of this inversion where keeping these moisture down here low. And let me see if I can swing around. The sun is over about that way. It's a little thicker up high as well. The Little Bighorn meets, which is basically, it's a river, but it's basically a creek, meets the Bighorn River outside of town. There's a nice little alley. You can see this frost on these fences as well. It's just really beautiful, and I don't want to say magical, but I will. A little mysterious. Very dreamlike. I kind of like it. It's also very cold, and I'm not dressed for this cold. It was 30 degrees yesterday in Livingston, so it's warmed up significantly. But this morning it is quite cold here in Hardin, Montana. Luckily, the wind is not blowing, which is nice, although you see some steam wafting past. Look at this cool house. Historic place. There's a sign over here. Let's take a look and see what it is. The historic Kendrick House Inn Bed and Breakfast. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? This, I was on the way to town, I was thinking how much this weather reminds me of winter in Central Europe, like Hungary and Slovakia, Croatia, Slovenia. You get these low-hanging, foggy winter days. Let's capture that. That might make a good thumbnail. What do you think? So beautiful. There, I think I said there's a sugar beet processing plant outside of town, and a couple little access points along the river. There is just beautiful, rolling, dry country, except for around the river when there are cottonwoods and willows, and people use it, I believe, use it to irrigate that and the Bighorn River. The Bighorn River is quite a large river. It's a dam-released river as it comes out of the canyon, which is a beautiful canyon. And so it's super cold, but it's constant. So in the spring, it's a great river to fish. Got a lot of trout, as well as mostly clear water. So it's a good alternative when the Yellowstone and these other rivers are blown out with the spring runoff. You can go down to the Bighorn and fish down there. This is 3rd Street, and we're actually walking along Custer Avenue. And as I said, we're just going to wander around and explore. Probably won't be too long of a walk this morning because I am chilly. I'm on a road trip here, and I'm going to head down through Montana. Then I'm going to go to, the plan is anyway, to go to Sheridan, Wyoming. There's the county courthouse. Maybe we'll loop back around through there. Sheridan, possibly Casper, and then down into Colorado to do some walks down there. Just to get out of Montana a little bit and share a broader perspective with you guys. There's the Little Bighorn Center. You can see there's some blue sky above this fog poking through, and some high sort of not quite cirrus clouds. I don't really know my clouds, but kind of puffy little high clouds as well. Just love these trees. We're going to go back into this little neighborhood and explore a little bit as well. The town itself is kind of spread out and primarily residential. I guess we're just going to keep on going along North Custer. You can kind of see out that way, just the peeking on the other side of the mist. I assume this fog is coming from the moisture of the river. You can hear the crunch of the snow under my feet. I mentioned I'm trying not to say so much. I'm not doing a great job today. I mentioned how much I like getting comments, and I've been getting some good ones lately. A lot of great stories. In fact, I had someone comment on one of the Anaconda walks that her parents grew up in Anaconda, and her dad worked at the smelter there until it closed in the 70s before they moved away, and recommended going to a restaurant called Donovan's. And it turns out we were actually doing something for Traveling Mel over in Dillon and then Anaconda. And so I was able to comment, we're headed there tomorrow and we'll check it out. And we did, and it's a cool restaurant. Fantastic design inside. But that is and we actually walked past it on one of the walks, but that's a whole different town. So we are in Hardin, Montana today. Yeah, you can see some blue sky over that way. I'd love for the sun to peek through here as we start walking and see it in these trees. I just love this dreamlike, mysterious atmosphere, ambiance. And I think I'm going to stop talking a little bit for a while so we can just enjoy that. We're going to actually go down 6th Street and we're going to go cross center again. Mainly because I see a couple cool buildings, some graffiti you guys might enjoy. Love seeing these icicles coming off the roofs. It got warm. They were able to melt off some of the snow, and the dripping caused those icicles when it got cold again. Here's Little Big Men Pizza. Silver Fox Casino. Little Big Man was a film and I think a book by not remember her name, but she wrote The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The film had Dustin Hoffman in it, 70s or 80s, and pretty entertaining. I remember watching it as a kid on TV. I should check that out again. I hear a dull roar off in the distance. I'm not sure if that's a train or the processing plant or something else. Across the way is the Lariat Motel. There are much nicer, newer hotels. I'm not talking down about the Lariat, but it's definitely a classic. There's an IGA grocery store in the distance. It's interesting, this guy is filled up with water or something there to, I don't know if he's using that as an anti-ice type situation or what's going on. I'm using a GoPro 8 on a vertical axis stabilizer, and it's a different looking contraption, unusual for most people to see, and so I get some strange looks. And one gentleman, Samuel Meeks, was very kind to offer up a vest with some he does some custom printing, and a vest that's sort of blaze green and has some text on it saying city walks and all that stuff. I haven't taken him up on it, and I don't think I need it. I think people are looking at me out of curiosity more than anything. We're still in the center here, and this is 8th Street. I think what we're going to do is, this looks like a government facility, and we're going to cross over Center Street, head kind of east, and go back in this neighborhood. I believe you can get out to the highway out there as well, and then there's, I wish I'd checked the map before, but that might be the direction to go to the museum I was speaking of. It's quite a large footprint, a lot of outdoor stuff and buildings and that sort of thing, which is kind of interesting. Well, it's starting to get a little breeze. That is less pleasant. One of the things I'm hoping to do down in Colorado is figure out and successfully live stream a walk. I've been bumbling around with that off and on, trying to figure it out without a whole lot of success. Not entirely to the software, but also my phone is a little bit older. Keep running into little speed bumps. Coming up on Cheyenne Avenue, and we're going to make a right down Cheyenne. So hopefully I can get that sorted and maybe do my first real live stream. Another thing that I've been meaning to do but just haven't followed through on is to do a premiere as well, where I record and then I'm sort of available to chat as we watch it all together, those who wish, and you can ask me questions in the chat, that sort of thing. One of the issues that I'm worried about with live streaming is being able to respond to chats as I film, because my eyes are not what they used to be, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read the screen. More of these frosty trees and the sun's starting to come out. Let's do a little dolly move through the trees. Very cool. See the little footprints. Somebody's walking their dog. If we can do some road trips this summer, I'd love to come out and do a walk throughout the Little Bighorn battlefield. I think that would be super interesting. This is the post office off here to the right. You can see the zip code 59034. And then ahead of that, I believe, is the fire department and sheriff's department. It's one of the things I like about these small towns is how friendly everyone is. I'm not sure this is the fire department, but it looks like it's got the antenna. These big bays. Oh good, we're gonna get some, I'll be able to show you some of the landscape around here and what it looks like. It looks like this is the administrative offices. We're on Cheyenne Street. I mentioned that earlier, I believe. As I've mentioned in previous walks, the batteries of my recorder take a beating in this cold weather. It just really slows down the chemical process that these batteries use, so hopefully it won't quit on us. crossing 4th. We'll go up here to the railroad tracks and peek across out into some fields. The mist is burned off for the most part, so I'm glad we got to see that. But I'm also glad to show this place without it. You can see this is, go straight down that road on Highway 313 to Yellowtail Dam. We're going to cross over here. Have I mentioned how cold it is? And mainly because I'm not dressed for it properly. I grabbed the non-lined Carhartts this morning. Honestly, I was warmer, more comfortable over in Bozeman the other day when it was 11 below than I am here at 0. All right, we're coming up on Railway Avenue, and we'll go over here to the old depot. Decorated a old car. We'll go see that in just a minute. I want to go over here and sort of step up on these rails and give you a view of the countryside. You can see that you will be able to see that we're in a bit of a river bottom. I don't know if you can see off in the distance some hills, snow encrusted. But you can see how cold it is here. I'm going to hold this up, and you can see these fields and then the distant hills that are, I don't know, 100 feet tall maybe. But they're actually benches that that's another level of thing. They're not high and then they're not peaks. Wish I could learn how to talk. And then of course this is the railroad, straight forever. And then you can. All right, the cold somehow kept the camera from charging. In fact, it's going to die again here in a second. So I'm just going to wrap this up. Thanks so much for joining us. And we'll walk until we can. But comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I love getting your comments. So we'll go over here real quick and see how long we can make this go. We're at like 3% on the old camera, and I'm going to try something here. Doesn't seem to want to charge in this cold weather. Here are these awesome murals. Well, it's not going down anymore, so maybe we'll be able to keep going. We don't have too much longer anyway, but I don't want to shortchange you guys. Historic Hardin. I think this might be a museum. Sometimes I don't really even notice that the battery or the camera has stopped, and I just keep walking, and that's a little tricky. Figuring that out in post, but not today. I caught it. Gotta take my wins when I can. All right, Historical Depot, Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture. And then, but they do have some cool old wagons and train stuff going on. There's an old covered wagon type thing up here. We'll take a look at real quick. Looks like it was decorated for Christmas. We were just over in Dillon. We went back to Bannock. I did a walk there in October. Got a guided tour. It was absolutely fascinating and fantastic. Highly recommend that if you ever get the chance. I believe that's the fairgrounds out there beyond the railroad tracks. And we're going to head back downtown real quick. But they were talking about how everything had to be brought out there by wagon. And they had entire steam dredges that they'd hauled up there. And, you know, thousands of pounds of iron and machinery and wood. And there wasn't any force. And so the idea of using those wagons in a place like this, in this kind of country, man, it must have been rough. Love these old downtowns, though. So it turns out, I hope I didn't panic anyone into leaving. We've got some more here. But I do like getting those comments. One of the most surprising aspects of having this channel is how much I've enjoyed getting the comments and interacting with viewers. I do try to respond to all comments. I read them all the ones that I see. I'm having an issue with YouTube right now where they've got a bug or something in their system that's withholding some comments, and I can't quite figure that out. We're back on center, by the way. Anyway, there's the Ranch House Grill and Notaboom Photography. That sounds familiar. Anyway, so send me your comments, please. I love getting them. I love chatting with you guys. On the whole, you guys are really nice people. This is interesting. American Legion, a place to dispose of your old beat-up flags if they've been weathered. If they've been weathered beyond repair, then you can dispose of them properly and respectfully there. Something I did not mention, and I just because I live in the area and it's sort of, I take it for granted, not take it for granted, that's the wrong words, but I just know it, is that we are also on the edge of the Crow reservation. And that's where Little Bighorn Battlefield is located. And so they have a lot of influence in the area, which is great. Beautiful kind of country. And so I'll see what kind of links I can provide in the YouTube description for that to help share some knowledge about those folks. All right, we're crossing on 4th. We're about right where we started on the other side of the street. And so I'm going to wrap it up. We got another 5 minutes out of that. Hooray. You guys, I do appreciate your attention. You guys really loved the recent Bozeman video. That was cool. And so watch, subscribe, like, share with your friends, and comment. Love those comments. So we will see you again soon. I'm going to go and do some more filming in other places after I've charged up this camera. And we will see you then. Until then, keep on stepping. From Hardin, Montana.